My prize mare Juniper blinked slowly and returned to drinking unruffled, as if this were just another farm day. After the fourth flyover, I followed its route with a GPS triangulation program I developed during my days as a contractor. Who else would presume they had the right to surveil my property, hayseat? Several days later, a laminated HOA notice showed up accusing me of hindering community operations and issuing fines if I interfered with her air monitoring systems. I nearly laughed, but the following morning, 2 drones materialized, one hovering around my house, the other suspended over my workshop while I was testing a radio chip for a blackout simulation, its lens focusing on my circuit board. That was the final straw. I opened a concealed compartment in my shed, cleaned out a crate marked Portable Signal Interference Unit, and plugged it in. I hadn't handled it since my previous overseas mission, but I kept its license up to date. Old habits die hard. The jammer was legal on rural land under federal agricultural exemptions, and when Cynthia's drones took another pass, I locked onto their frequency. A beep verified the target, then silence. One drone crashed into the pig pen where my boar Brutus battered it into the muck. The other spun, clipped my workshop gutter, and crashed onto the chicken coop, sending feathers a-flight. My dog Tank ambled over with a propeller in his mouth like it was a bone. By 3 p.m., Cynthia was at my gate yelling about $1,200 worth of damage and threatening to call Homeland Security. I held up my jammer license and a printout of FA rural airspace rules. She didn't read them, just took a smashed drone, screamed, "You'll pay for this," and walked away, leave stuck in her hair. I figured that would do the trick, but I misjudged her. The next day, a formal HOA citation was delivered charging me with deploying unauthorized defense hardware and taking legal action. I smiled because I'd already discovered something in the wreckage that altered everything. That evening, as my animals slept under the stars, I took apart the drone pieces in my workshop, burned plastic tangled wires, and most importantly, memory cards. Cynthia believed she was working with a simple farmer, but I had been trained to hack systems in war zones. I inserted the cards into a safe reader and almost gagged on my coffee. One drone's footage revealed thermal scans of my fields and barn, spooky but not incriminating. The other had zoomed-in stills of my solar relay capturing wiring schematics stenciled on the inverters. This was not simply spying. Cynthia was exploring my power grid, but for what I cross-checked the drone models and verified they were connected to the HOA's network hub, making her flights technically sanctioned under amorphous bylaws. She could spin this to brand my jammer as a menace to community infrastructure. Despite the fact that I was fully licensed, I called up an old friend, Lucas, who worked for county zoning. When I said the footage, he asked if my land was up for review. I froze. Review for what he confessed my farm had been flagged in an anonymous rezoning proposal traced back to an HOA consortium, arguing that my land was inefficient and ripe for a residential hub. My blood boiled. Cynthia was not nosy. She was orchestrating a land grab. If that proposal went through, I'd have imminent domain battles. The next day, another HOA notice showed up, accusing me of emotional distress to board members and slapping me with an $800 fine for jamming her illegal drones. I torched it in my fire barrel, watching it curl into ash. Cynthia didn't give up. That afternoon, 3 drones drifted just beyond my jammer's range, one flashing HOA in Morse code. It was absurd. Infuriating, I was finished playing defense. I unearthed decoy transmitters from a military contract, simulating sensitive equipment signals, and scattered them on my property close to the beehives near the chicken coop under an old clothesline. If Cynthia wanted information, she'd chase ghosts. I added a phased pulse to my jammer to scramble guidance systems without crashing drones, and mounted infrared cameras with encrypted offline storage. My farm became a fortress. The next morning, I caught Cynthia on my property line with 2 men in cheap polos, pretending to be county inspectors. I observed them taking notes on my irrigation system. I approached them recording on my phone and demanded their credentials. They stuttered, confessing they were hired by the HOA president. I invoked trespassing statutes and referred to my sonic alarms. They ran. Cynthia glared from her hedge, and I waved, saying, "Tell your drones to stop buzzing my horses, it's getting old." That night, a package arrived. No return label on it, just a USB drive and a note. Thought you'd be interested in this, be aware. Inside, there was a folder marked Cynthia's Files filled with HOA emails and memoranda. One described a proposal to take away my land by emergency reassignment, outlining phony complaints, bribes, and blacklisting, all authenticated by Cynthia War, had been declared. Rain fell the following morning, heavy and thick, but I was home in my shop, soldering on beacon onto an antique decoy drone. It pulsed a deceptive signal to draw Cynthia's follow-up drone. About 10 a.m., an elegant carbon fiber model dropped into view, hanging low over the decoy. I shot it down with a phase jammer burst, and it smashed into a puddle. Cynthia showed up a few minutes later, drenched and crying about felony sabotage. I reminded her that aerial, unlicensed droning over storm, battered livestock broke multiple codes. She stormed away, vowing to finish me. That afternoon, fake property compliance SUVs parked in front of my farm taking pictures. I recorded them, claiming the Rural Land Protection Act. They drove away. I sent the drone components and USB to Raul, a cybersecurity acquaintance. He discovered a sonic emitter in the newest drone intended to harass animals, explaining my frightened chickens and Juniper's strange behavior. Cynthia wasn't only snooping, sheet was assailing my farm. I wired directional speakers to a motion-activated counter-frequency system. When a small quad drone flew through my field, I activated it. The drone whirled uncontrollably and crashed into the HOA clubhouse's weather vane. Cynthia fought back with a lawsuit alleging property damage and community sabotage. In court, she strutted in a beige suit while I was wearing boots and flannel. I showed drone pieces, my jammer license, and the USB's emails, revealing her reasoning scheme. Raul's forensic analysis showed her drone's sonic emitter employed for crowd control, not surveillance. The courtroom fell silent. Cynthia pleaded ignorance, but the judge stopped her drone operation and ordered FA investigation. FAA agents subsequently examined my proof, proving remote probes on my solar guide of federal offense. At an emergency HOA meeting, I played the drone video and revealed Cynthia's plot. A board member, Ellen, disclosed forged documents and unauthorized fines. The room exploded. A neighbor, George, moved to dissolve the HOA. The vote passed 87% to 13%. Cynthia attempted to seize my flash drive, but I intervened, whispering, "There's 5 more copies." She ran embarrassed. The press referred to her drone Cynthia. Her home did not sell, and she was seen directing traffic in a neon vest, helpless. The FA tracked her drones back to an illicit seller, and she was charged with fraud. My farm prospered, and the Pentagon hired me to advise on counter-drone technology. I worked from home, caring for my animals during the day and designing prototypes at night. One day I saw Cynthia at a neighborhood event, her scowl unaltered but avoided. Our eyes did meet, and she looked away, vanquished. My new drone detection grid hummed gently, protecting the peace I'd battled for. Cynthia had flown too close, and I'd snipped her wings for